welcome back to Reading the Signs Tarot and Astrology on YouTube. Today we're going to be discussing the new moon total solar eclipse in Sagittarius on the 14th or 15th of December, depending on where you are. So the Sagittarian energy, this marks a new beginning. A total solar eclipse is a brand new beginning. And Sagittarius is the sign that we associate most with new horizons. So this really is a new beginning in all things Sagittarius, in our philosophy, in our ideology, in the way that we see the world. Sagittarius is a sign associated with the philosopher and the student. Their perpetual quest in life is to learn and to see things from new perspectives and new vantage points. In fact, the sign of Sagittarius in astrology is actually the centaur with the bow and arrow, but really Sagittarius is represented by the arrow going in a new direction to a new horizon to meet a new target. And a big part of the Sagittarian energy is truth. So when we think of Sagittarius, they're actually on a perpetual quest for knowledge, and knowledge is truth, knowledge is power. So in order to understand the new energies of this new moon total solar eclipse, it is important to have some kind of quest for answer. If you've been seeking answers this year that you've not found yet, this marks a new beginning in your venture to do so and brings you more in alignment with that truth. The energies of this new moon, though, are very interesting. There is a trine between this new moon and Mars. Mars is in Aries, and this energy adds a lot of courage, a lot of bravery, and a lot of dedication to this new horizon, to act more, act fearlessly, act courageously in pursuit of our goals. On the flip side, we have a little bit of disharmony with Neptune and Pisces, which means the quest for truth is not necessarily so obvious. In fact, Neptune is much to do with illusion, it's much to do with paranoia, it's much to do with fear. And so the aspect to this new moon is an energy that says it is more important to be brave than afraid, because the aspect to Mars is much stronger than the aspect to Neptune. And of course, the Neptune energy will want to cast a fog on your new philosophy, on your new horizon, your new beginning. But it is important that we go with that Sagittarius energy and understand that we have set a goal, we have shot our arrow, and we have faith that it's going to take us to where we need to go. I was actually, not last week, but the week before, on a hike going up the mountains, and it was a really very cloudy day. So got to the top of this really high mountain. It took a long time to get there. My legs were like jelly by the time I got to the top, and at the top there were no views. There was just clouds. All this climb for clouds. And in that moment when you've climbed a big mountain, you would love to have the view because you want the higher views. You want the accomplishment, the achievement, to see how far you've come. But instead, there was a bird just at the very top. There were only two of us on that hike, and there was a bird circling around, this beautiful big bird that I think it was a red kite, but it looked like a hawk. It was huge, and it was just circling around just us and this beautiful bird. And I remember thinking that the fog reminded me of Neptune, not necessarily being able to see just yet how far I had actually gone up the mountain, but having this other view that was really quite magical and quite ethereal, to see this beautiful shadow of a bird in the fog, in the mist. And it really made me think about the Sagittarius energy and the Neptunian energy all in one, because birds as spiritual symbols, particularly birds of prey, actually symbolize the need to see things from a higher perspective. And it made me think that moment was just as amazing to me as any view of the land below. And I certainly felt the journey in my legs. So if you can't quite see just how far you've come, just know that this is a new beginning, and that you have come really very far. It has been a long year, and it has been a year that's required a lot of bravery, and there has been a lot of fear and a lot of paranoia and a lot of there's been an inherent lack of clarity, I think, in a lot of the information that we've received. So This is a beautiful new beginning based in truth and in courage and in bravery. And it's also a new beginning in all things Sagittarius surrounding religion and philosophy, where we maybe have a decision and a commitment to see things from somebody else's perspective. We may not agree, but we can certainly see things from their perspective by changing our vantage point. And that is something that is very important in working together as people as we enter the age of Aquarius, where the focus is going to be on humanity and really working together and coming together. It's a big focus on being able to see other people's opinions, not necessarily agree, but I believe it was Voltaire that said, I may not agree with your opinions, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it. Which I always thought was a very interesting thing to say, and I'm paraphrasing, so I'll put the exact quote below, but I believe he was a moon in Aquarius, so as we're entering towards the Aquarian era, those types of beliefs are more common. There is a fellow understanding, a fellowship, as you were. So this new moon with the Sagittarian theme is all about opening your mind to new opportunities, and also, being open to other people, yes, but being open to a brand new horizon for yourself, a new world for yourself, and to go to these goals, to go after these goals with a sense of trust and courage. Because with the illusions of Neptune, albeit, as I say, not as strong as Mars, the illusionary effect is very much one that can be overcome with faith. Neptune is a planet that's actually very much associated with spirituality and having faith in the unknown, having faith in what we can't see. And the next day, Venus is actually moving into Sagittarius, meaning that in all things love and all things money, there is a need to see things from different perspectives and be open to new ways of thinking, new ways of interacting, and new ways of processing information. As well as that, Chiron goes direct, the wounded healer, and Chiron and Venus will be trining that week. So there is an element of healing identity wounds, because sometimes most conflict occurs when we feel like somebody else is entrenching on our identity. And if you have a very strong sense of identity, it's harder to be rattled. Anybody can be rattled. It's easy to remain an angel when no one ruffles your feathers. But in having a stronger sense of self and identity and healing those core wounds, it's actually easier to see things from different perspectives because you don't feel that your identity is being threatened. So those are some big themes going on around this eclipse. As I say, it's a beautiful new beginning. I really love this new moon in general and the total solar eclipse energy of Sagittarius because it is a new beginning based in optimism and friendliness and philosophy. But as I say, there is a dark side to the Sagittarian energy where we can become very much entrenched in our opinions and entrenched in our belief systems to the point where we think that that is 100% who we are and anything outside of that is a threat. There's a reason Sagittarius loves to travel so much. They love to learn about other people. They love to learn about other cultures. And as much as travel at the moment is not an easy thing to do, there are still a lot of documentaries that Sagittarians love. David Attenborough is still going. There's a lot of different articles. You can read up on philosophers, anything that really feeds your mind and your quest for knowledge. Because a lot of people around this new moon will be looking for knowledge. They will be looking for answers. And it is important that in that process, you have faith that you will end up where you need to be. And it is a very intense month in terms of astrological awakenings based on that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that is occurring in Aquarius on the 21st. And I will do a video on that. But for now, all of the timestamps are going to be linked below to what this eclipse means for each sign. I'll be going into the astrology and the tarot for each sign, so you can click straight to your sign listed below. If you enjoyed this reading, please give it a thumbs up, give me a comment, and subscribe to the channel for all the new moon and full moon updates to come. And if I do not see you, have a very wonderful Christmas, a very happy holiday season, whatever you're celebrating, and a very blessed new year. Take care. Bye. Hi Sagittarius and welcome to the new moon in your sign. This is your total solar eclipse new moon. Interesting energies, I have to say. It must be very, very exciting to be a Sagittarius at this point of the year. Back in June 5th, I believe, we did have a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, which was ushering out this energy of where you're ready to make a change in terms of who you are. This total solar eclipse to me is a new beginning for you that is much more awakened, it's much more intuitive. You have much better gut feelings on things, and I can see that as well with your cards because of the High Priestess. It is transforming the center of your universe. This is a time where you maybe change your hair, you maybe change your diet, you maybe change something about your appearance, your clothes. It's an image overhaul. And then with Venus the next day moving into your sign, again, there's going to be a time where you want to buy new clothes, you want to wear new perfume, new aftershave, you want to change your hair, change your makeup, all of that good stuff. One of the things about this eclipse that I find so interesting for you is that it has a beautiful alignment with Mars. Mars being in your 5th house of creativity, of pleasure, of fun, of love. And we also have Saturn a couple of days after shifting out of your secure zone, a zone where you're very much focused on your commitments, your money, your material assets, but what makes you feel solid. Now, Saturn has a habit of pulling us through a few tough lessons in these areas, and since 2017 you've probably redefined what security, what safety means to you, particularly in your romantic relationships, but in any kind of relationship. This new moon, this solar eclipse, is a time of new beginnings. It is more so a time where we take in this courage, this excitement, this optimism that your sign presents us with, and this ability to see a much higher picture. I think with the High Priestess energy, you are very tapped into higher frequencies, to a better way of thinking, a better way of feeling. And it's really paying off. But one of the most unusual things that happened with your cards that I pulled was that we had patience twice, and thus we had temperance twice. Now, the fascinating thing about that for me is that, one, in the major arcana, temperance is represented by your sign, Sagittarius, but it's also numbered 14, which is the date that this new moon is occurring on. So I think, Sagittarius, for a lot of you this year, you've had to exercise, as many people have, but this is particular for you, you've had to exercise a high degree of patience, particularly with your romantic relationships, your partnerships, and your children. The reason that I say that is because we have had Mars in your 5th house of pleasure and romance, and it's been there for an extended time, bringing a lot of pressure to that area. And while it was retrograded, it added even more pressure and more irritation and more aggravation and more frustration. This new moon is a total reset to enhance those energies in a beautiful way, in a way that is driven, in a way that feels compatible with your fiery element, and a way that really feels like you are moving forward, especially with love. Now, the reason I say that is because we have the Swan card and the 2 of Cups, which signifies to me an important relationship, an important romantic relationship. It's possibly with an air sign, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, because of the Queen of Swords. But one of the new beginnings for you, Sagittarius, if you're single or if you're in a relationship, is that you're going to be setting much clearer boundaries. And I think in particular that is to do with the home, or it is to do with family, or it is to do with children. So maybe you have a partner that you have children with, or you either share children with, or you have children from previous relationships, or whatever this is, and you have to set clear boundaries there, or maybe you have to set better boundaries with your children. There seems to be some kind of boundary setting that is actually very helpful, very healthy, and very harmonious, and is requiring a lot of patience and a lot of balance. So at this time, well, whenever I see temperance, I'm drawn to the fire and the water. At this time, your solar eclipse, the new moon, is actually in tension with Neptune. And Neptune is in your family sector, it's in your home sector, but it's also the sector that is to do with the past. So when we think of a new beginning and we think of this strange fog with Neptune surrounding the past, it's very clear, Sagittarius, that you have to step away from the way that you have viewed things before. If you've had a rose-tinted glasses view of the past, maybe someone in it, maybe a past lover, maybe a past relationship of any kind, you're asked to stop viewing the past the way that you have always viewed it. It's a perspective change, because with Neptune being at that angle, it almost feels like the past is holding you back from a new beginning, and you're really being asked to step into a new way of living. And for a lot of you, that is actually opening up to love, because I think some of you either through with the Patience card. Some of you have been through divorce, or some of you have been through separation, and maybe you find it very hard to approach the idea of a new relationship. But because of the frequencies of this new moon, you could manifest a new relationship really very quickly, especially because Venus moves into your sign. So if that is something you're in the market for, this is a beautiful time to set those intentions. In existing relationships, this is a time when you can find more moderation, more harmony, but it has to come from a place of reflection. So as much as I've said the past cannot hold you back, and it shouldn't, you still have to be aware of what went wrong before so that it doesn't repeat itself, particularly in an existing relationship. Now, with the Patience card, I do think a lot of you have been very patient with healing, very patient with love, or very patient with children. For some of you that really are not on the market for love at all, there could be a child who has a new relationship coming up, and I mean child as in an adult child or young adult child, some kind of romantic relationship or engagement that you're very excited about. So there is that. But I'm thinking for you, it's more so to do with you, to be honest. It's more so to do with your love life and your creative life as well, because the Swan and the Two of Cups is a lot to do with the reflections. So what we reflect out is mirrored back at us. And I think in a sense, Sagittarius, what you're doing is reflecting on who you have been in your relationships as well, because the series of these eclipses is going to be in your 1st and 7th house, which does rule marriage and partnerships as well as yourself. So how you are in a relationship. But I do feel like a lot of you are finally healing from a very painful relationship and opening up to something new. But because this is in your sector of self, it is important to be patient with your growth, Sagittarius, because these eclipses are going to be lasting for the next 3 years or so. And because the South Node is in your sign, it is all about having a new beginning and not getting stuck in the past, not getting stuck in the way things were. And as a Sagittarius, and as the theme of this new moon, you can see things from an amazing perspective. You know, you're the archer, but in essence, in astrology, you're actually the arrows. It's seeing things from the higher perspective, seeing things from a different angle. And the things that seemed big on the ground, the higher you shift your frequency, the higher your perspective, the smaller they seem. That's why Sagittarius is such a brave sign. Okay, so in matters of the heart, in matters of creativity, be brave. It's a new beginning. You can be whoever you want to be. We had your major arcana twice. You really are changing, and you're ushering in a new way of handling your emotions as well, particularly when it comes to family and the past. And some of you are trying to reframe or heal from a childhood experience that has really reached its peak. Okay, so that is what I have for you. Have a really beautiful new moon solar eclipse in your sign, and happy birthday, Sagittarius. Bye. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your new moon in Sagittarius reading. This total solar eclipse is occurring in a side of the sky for you that is very much to do with your subconscious. It's very much to do with what lies beneath within you. It's quite an emotional side of the sky, I have to say. And Mercury will be there giving you these insights, these messages, these moments of just knowing or feeling like one just knows. And it is in beautiful alignment actually with Mars, who has been causing a bit of tension in your sector of family and the past. So there is an essence of this new moon, this total solar eclipse, that is a new beginning in how you deal with your emotions and how you process your emotions and how you heal from things and how you work through things. The cards were very much in that favor. So we had the Fool and the Queen of Cups, which is suggesting a new beginning in your emotional world, which is very much like the astrology. And with the Queen of Cups and the Fool, it's about being comfortable in your emotions, being able to sit with them. I find that Capricorn is often a sign who can have a bit of a delayed onset of things that bother them or move them emotionally. There can be a bit of a delay. So that can actually be years for Capricorn people. And this eclipse is maybe for you ushering up a lot of emotions you hadn't dealt with and you would really rather not deal with, but it is a new beginning, so you're processing these quite quickly and transforming as a result. We actually have the Butterfly Maiden. You're experiencing enormous change right now, which brings great blessings. Okay, so what I'm feeling for you, Capricorn, is that there is a little bit of reflection and emotional intensity of things that have bothered you, and you need to let them come up. It's also, the 12th house is a place of resting and nesting, where we go to reflect, and you have the rest and rejuvenation card. One of the things that's also becoming apparent about this new moon total solar eclipse is that as much as it's very positive with Mars being there, this gives us the courage to direct and implement change. And for you, that is in the home. You could be decorating the home, you could be getting new things for the home, you could be working through some issues with your past, with a therapist, you could be working through some issues with your family, all of that stuff. It does usher in change in those areas. But one of the things that I'm seeing is that you need to be mindful that while Mars is positively aspected, a lot of it is in sectors of the sky for you that are to do with healing and are to do with pause and are to do with reflection. There is a tough angle with Neptune, and Neptune is in Pisces. Pisces would be your third house of communication and the way that you verbalize things. And also it can cause a bit of friction and fogginess with siblings, particularly younger siblings, with the Page of Fire here, maybe Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And I do think with this energy, Capricorn, we have the deer as your spirit animal, and I think that to me this represents you feeling kind of caught in the headlights at moments, because it is a blinding change. You know, a solar eclipse is very unnerving for people because of our ancestry. Nobody really knew what was going on with eclipses, so a lot of it is this internal fear that, oh, change is coming, but I don't know what this is. And in December, change is ushering in huge volumes with the Jupiter-Saturn eclipse, and we are going to have Jupiter and Saturn meeting, Saturn being your ruler, in an anorectic degree of your sign. There is a big change for you going on, but it is to serve you in the long run. And one of the ways I see it as serving you in the long run is being a better manifester, being a better creator of your destiny, especially if you're in a creative profession, because this eclipse will lead us up to the full moon in Cancer in your partnership zone. And we had the Magician, the Two of Cups, and the Chariot being Cancer's energy. So the eclipse is going to usher in a new beginning for you to be more powerful, because knowledge is power. And if you have knowledge of what your psychological itches are, what your irks, what your vulnerabilities are, you actually can't let other people use them against you. So having an eclipse in the 12th house is making you more powerful by default, because you are realizing things about yourself that could be manipulated and used against you. And that's powerful. You are ushering in great change, and you are really understanding yourself at a more fundamental level. And I do feel like for some of you with the Fool and the Queen of Cups, that is embarking in a healing journey of Reiki or literal therapy, talking therapy, counseling, that kind of thing, all of which is very beneficial for you. And if a lot of you have been lonely and you're trying to usher in love, I do see some kind of manifestation for you around the full moon in Cancer that we're leading up to. But it is on the precipice of occurring once you've done a little bit of internal work, because there is some stuff that has been stirred up with this energy that you need to look at, you know, feeling kind of low or feeling kind of, you know, like, what is the point? A lot of that energy is actually part of your process of transformation, you know, the darkest before the dawn. And to have a total solar eclipse is a great change, but it is also, because it's in the 12th house, a great moment of darkness where you really look inward and think, who am I, and why am I doing the things I do? You know, reflecting on your behaviors, reflecting on your past and why you've become a certain person. And it's accepting that you can change that, but it's also making peace with the fact that a lot of that isn't your fault. A lot of that is just conditioning. A lot of it is where you've been brought up, or how you've been brought up, or the relationships that you've had. And a lot of it was, you know, just events that really had maybe no rhyme or reason other than to make you who you are now, and to be proud of who you are now, and to be proud of the growth that you're doing. I do feel like a deer shows up as an emblem for you a lot in December, in terms of guiding you, in terms of giving you a sense of peace, you know, a sense of reassurance. And I really do like your cards, because I feel that with the Magician, the Two of Water, and the Chariot coming up, that you are going to manifest either a relationship you really want, or a relationship that you're in moving forward, okay? So that is all I have for you. I hope you have a wonderful December, Capricorn. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Aquarius. So welcome to your new moon in Sagittarius total solar eclipse reading. This is occurring in your 11th house, the house that actually rules Aquarius. So there is a lot of energy for you surrounding manifestation, a lot of energy surrounding magic and innovation and thinking of the future. And this is very appropriate for you considering we are on the dawning of the age of Aquarius. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction occurs in Aquarius about a week after this eclipse. So there's very intense energy for you surrounding yourself, surrounding who you are as a person. And the cards completely reflect it. It is a beautiful new beginning. We have the Fool and the Sorceress. So this total solar eclipse, in astrological energy, what this is that what you think about predominantly is expanding really very quickly. It is like pouring a lot of water onto a sponge. It just boop. Or you know those little tiny dinosaurs that you would get and you would put them in like a jelly, or you would put them in water and they would grow? That kind of an energy. So what I'm seeing for you with the eclipse, because of the energies, this new moon is going to be in beautiful positive aspect with Mars. Now Mars is in Aries, and Aries is a lot to do with how you communicate. It's to do with being able to put your thoughts and your opinions out there verbally, or at least what you think to be true is more to do with the third house. So because there has been tension there, and Mars typically, it adds a lot of energy, but it adds a lot of aggression too. Your words probably haven't gone down so well in recent months. You've probably said things, you probably tripped over things, or felt like your words are being misunderstood. I can see that with the Five of Wands here. You have felt like there's a bit of tension. And this eclipse is a new beginning in the way that you communicate. It's also a new beginning in the way that you manifest, or the way you connect to groups of people. And I think for a lot of you, because it is a solar eclipse, what I'm seeing with the Hermit energy is that part of this process is to look inward. And I think as well, because we're on the dawning of that great conjunction in your sign, it is a time when you are reflecting on what you want to achieve for yourself, especially with the Sorceress card. You know, the Hermit isn't about necessarily going into the desert and being alone for 10 days or something. It can be. And it could have been Aquarius that because of this conjunction, when Jupiter and Saturn will be in the anorectic degree of Capricorn, which is your 12th house, you will see just how isolated or lonely you felt, or just how much you actually have learned about yourself, your psychology, your psyche, your belief system over the last 3 years in particular. But a lot of it was thrown at you this year, and you're ready for a new beginning. You're ready to step out of the hermit mode and connect to people. And that can be a bit of an adjustment, because with the Four of Wands here, I feel like you're headed into very stable structures that, you know, in terms of your personal relationships. And I think a lot of it is to do because there's a bit of tension there as well, I have to say, because of the Five of Wands. But I feel like a lot of you are stepping into new relationships, new family dynamics, all of that's to do with the shift of karma because of Saturn. And Saturn is moving into your sign. So you're going to be taking things a bit more seriously in terms of your relationships, I feel. But I see the Four of Wands as a good omen. I see it as an omen of reconnection after being kind of in the woods or being out in the desert. I think for a lot of Aquarians, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you probably have spent some period of time in the last few months completely alone. You know, either in isolation or out traveling on your own or something like that, literally being on your own. And I really feel like that process has changed you. With the process and the Sorceress and the Fool, you're beginning a new process where you come into manifestation. So for a lot of younger Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you may recently only have discovered the law of attraction. You may only recently have discovered tarot or journaling or something spiritual, something very 11th house oriented, like astrology or like a social media presence on the internet, because it is to do with the internet. Some of you are quitting that altogether. And with the Angel of Balance, I really feel like you are working through the lonelier energies and connecting with other people, because balance is key. With the Angel of Balance, it's very much to do with this hermit energy, one side being on your own, one side being reflective, one side feeling like the black sheep. And on the other side, Four of Wands, feeling like you're part of something, feeling like you're part of a group, part of a family, part of a relationship. And with the Five of Wands smack bang in the middle, well, you've always kind of grappled with that, you know? And as we're heading into your era, you're realizing that some of the problems that you've been experiencing have been to do with spinning your own web, you know? Spinning your own web. And as well with the spider, I'm feeling like the World Wide Web is significant to you in some way around this time. Either you are experiencing online fame or more presence, or you're starting a new course online, or something to do with the internet that is actually going to really connect you with people and connect you with a wider audience. But with the spider, as I was saying, sometimes we can really spin our own web of lies and get stuck there, and which is why I think you've really been reassessing your identity and where you belong in the world, and that some of it hasn't necessarily been true. You know, Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto have all been in your 12th house, which is to do with hidden enemies. And the real hidden enemy in any astrological chart with the 12th house is often the self. It's often our past. It's often what lies beneath that we don't quite understand. And it is only in looking inward that we find the answers, that nobody can actually harm you as much as your own mind. You know, and I'm not talking about any kind of physical abuse, but I'm talking in working through the world. We are our own worst enemy in many cases. So the 12th house has maybe taught you that, Aquarius, and you want to step into a new beginning where you're more intentful and more carefree and more positive, and really want to manifest from a place of power. And I'm not saying that Saturn in your sign is necessarily the easiest thing. I have Saturn in Aquarius in the 1st degree, so this energy I understand. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to be very serious with ourselves and figure out where we are in the world, where we belong and who we are and what we think. But it's very enlightening in terms of why you are the way you are. And that knowledge is power, because as I was saying, for the other signs that have 12th house aspects, it can't control you. And this eclipse is a beautiful time to restart where you belong in the world, who you belong with, and what you bring to the table in a way that really to me looks quite magical. So that's all I have for you, Aquarius. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces, welcome to your Sagittarius new moon total solar eclipse reading. So this eclipse is occurring for you in your 10th house of public image, career, success, achievements. It's pretty interesting. This eclipse is actually in tension with your ruler Neptune in your sign, so I will get to that in a second. But it is also in positive and much stronger because of the degree alignment with Mars, and Mars is in Aries, which is your 2nd house of stability and security. One of the things that's very clear for you, Pisces, is because of all these energies put together. With the hostilities card, I thought about this, and it's very much to do with feeling a little bit out of alignment with who you are. In terms of yourself, how you view yourself, and how the public view you, in terms of your career. I think there's a bit of tension there. There's a bit of questioning, you know, why do they see my profession rather than see me? Or why does my profession have to define me? Now, the interesting thing about this eclipse is it can actually usher you in a lot of success in terms of your career and in terms of your money, because of that alignment between this eclipse in your 10th house and the connection to Mars in your 2nd. And that's very clear in your cards, because we have the King of Pentacles and the Emperor. So for a lot of you that are self-employed, this is business success, especially if you work from home because of the 6 of Cups. A lot of you could be doing an interview from home. That's very well aspected. A new job is very well aspected, a new beginning in career. But for a lot of you, I think it is self-employment because of the Emperor card. But I am seeing you being very successful in these areas because of the eclipse and also your cards. But this is very rare that we have a total solar eclipse like this, because it's happening just before the Great Conjunction in Aquarius, which is a lot to do with your 12th house. And so in a way, Pisces, because of that conjunction, you're so determined that whatever you do next in your career has to feel authentic. It has to feel powerful. It has to feel intentional. It doesn't feel like you're just walking through the world blindly. And I think for a lot of you, it's a relationship as well to do with the father. It is wanting to change the way that you have built your career, possibly built on what your family wanted you to be, or what your father wanted you to be, or what your father was. Some of you are literally following in their footsteps, or some of you are literally pulling away from a family business or something like that and breaking out on your own. But whatever you're doing in style, because we have the peacock card, meaning that your public image, you're coming across really very well. Even if you're going through all these internal, do I want this for myself? Do I want that for myself? The eclipse is kind of showing you what it is that you do want for yourself. It's a total solar eclipse. It's a new beginning. And it is occurring on a side of the sky that I think is very much to do with fame and fortune. When we think of the 10th house, we do think of success on a societal level. At the same time, because of the eclipse, a conjunction a couple of days before the conjunction, just before there is a conjunction in Aquarius, we have a conjunction within the 29-degree aspect of Capricorn. And that is to do with the 10th house. That is to do with the way society views success. So what will maybe make your spirit feel a bit better, Pisces, is that the way success has been defined is changing. If you're looking to do a career that's very different, that's very out there, that you think you'll face a lot of judgment for, you won't, because the era is changing. It is going to be different. People are going to respect more autonomy, different professions. There's going to be a change in the way that we work and do business. And I'm seeing here with the Page of Pentacles and the Devil, a lot of you, thanks to Mars being in Aries and the retrograde energy, have felt very insecure about your abilities. And for some of you, it's maybe sent you backwards into addictive tendencies, addictive thoughts, addictive relationships, addictive patterns from the past. And I think this eclipse is really saying, get it together, Pisces. We need you to be on your A game here. With the Six of Cups, you need to implement change of moving away from the things that have been vices for you. They need you to be present. They need you to be ready to take the success and to enjoy the success. With the Guardian card, it's very much to do with feeling protected in taking these steps forward, And a lot of Pisces suffer with addictions and addictive tendencies. And I do think with the Devil moving energy, Saturn moving into Aquarius for you is really going to confront those energies and say, where is this coming from? I need to fix this. I don't want to live like this anymore. For some of you, it's shopping. For some of you, it is being a workaholic. For some of you, it is alcohol. Whatever this is, I feel like you're seeing with the Six of Cups that it comes from something you're not actually responsible for. It comes from a psychological itch, or it comes from inheritance, or whatever this is, and you're getting to grips with it, and you're going to be the one with the Emperor who stops it. Very powerful, actually. And I do feel like because of the tension with Neptune, so much of it is wrapped up in your identity of who you feel you are, but you're also ready to step into a new identity in general, Pisces, because with the Eight of Wands and the door to personal healing and happiness, when you set the intention that you want to be more powerful, you want to be happier, you want to be healthier, because of the energy surrounding this eclipse, for everybody, it's a very quick manifestation rate. It's very fast. It's a very high frequency, and if you tap into it, it evolves so much quicker. And I do feel like with the Peacock, people think so much more highly of you than you think of yourself, and people think you have so much more to offer than you do. So if you want to go for a new job, do it, because you will come across as quite well. If you want to step out on your own in terms of fame or public image or what it is, again, I feel like you come across really well, and I do feel like you're glowing, you're growing as well, and you are focusing your arrows more with the Guardian card, and also the Sagittarius energy, Pisces. You are focusing your arrows more on what genuinely makes you happy, and that's where you're going to have great success. So that's all I have for you, Pisces. Have a wonderful December. Take care. Bye. Hi Aries, welcome to your new moon Sagittarius segment. So Aries, the Sagittarius new moon total solar eclipse is occurring in your 9th house, and this is a lot to do with truth. It's a lot to do with philosophy, and it's a lot to do with higher perspectives. When we think of the 9th house and we think of Sagittarius energy in general, it's a lot to do with the arrows that go up into the air, and the trust that they will get you to where you need to be. And we often find with being in flights or planes that the ground that we're on looks very different. A lot of things look really very big until we soar up above them. This total solar eclipse for you is very like that flight energy, where you take off and things that were once big and seemed insurmountable suddenly look very small. and it's a lot to do with your vantage point. So for you, this eclipse, especially because of its beautiful alignment with your ruler Mars in your sign, it is a lot to do with gaining courage, gaining clarity, and gaining a higher perspective. December as a month astrologically is huge. It's very much to do with awakenings. It's very much to do with a new world coming into play, the beginning of a new era, as it were. And I think for you, you're stepping into this new era with a sense of confidence, a sense of courage, and a sense of excitement for a new journey. There is a new journey comes in with this eclipse for you. And I see that with the stingray being your spirit animal for this total solar eclipse. It's very much to do with having a spine, having a sense of self, having a sense of confidence in one's own abilities, and being able to stick up for yourself. Something which Aries do really very well. But because of your ruler Mars being in your sign, but having a retrograde period, it's been there for a very long time, putting a lot of drive, a lot of force, a lot of aggression into yourself, you have made big changes within. And the day after this eclipse, there is going to be an alignment between Chiron in your sign, the wounded healer, and then the Sagittarius energy, which is your higher perspective. So you're getting past a certain pain body from the past by having a much different perspective. And I can see that in multiple ways. We have the Healer of the Ages card. We also have Patience and the Moon, which is Temperance in the Moon, and which is interesting because Temperance is a Sagittarius card, so this is literally the Moon in Sagittarius. And what it's bringing you with the King of Wands, the Five of Air, and the Love card is healing, either through love or healing wounds surrounding love. And I think for a lot of you with the Nine of Swords, you've maybe had very peculiar dreams of upsetting things from the past, or dreams of upsetting situations which haven't occurred, but it's showing you where your fear is, it's showing you where your pain body is. Listen to that feeling, because it wants to be acknowledged and it wants to be reassured that you're strong, you're courageous, and that even if the worst happened, you have a very strong spine and a very strong sense of self. But it's not predicting anything bad for you. What it's saying is that you're getting to grips with those pains, those energies, and it is to do with Chiron. But that being said, this eclipse is in beautiful aspect to Mars in your sign. So that is bringing you in a new sense of self, seeing yourself in a different way. With the Two of Swords, Seven of Cups, moving past your blockages, moving past the things that confused you. There's a lot of illusionary energy though, because of the Moon and the Seven of Cups. I do think for a lot of you, you could be experiencing quite upsetting dreams or night terrors, or something to do with the eclipse aspecting Neptune. Neptune is in your 12th house of the subconscious. So there is a lot of fear coming up, and it really wants you to know that these fears are just completely elusive. They're just things that are going on in your subconscious. It's your undercurrents coming up to heal things for you. It's your subconscious mind alerting you to some stuff that's been lying dormant. And when it is processed through a dream, you become a bit more free because your mind has actually resolved it. It's settled through it, or it wants to settle through it. So you're going through that kind of process. And I do think music is something that's highlighted here as being very healing for you. But with the arts card, I think very much about the energy that anything you do that you feel is creative or creating something new, be it music, be it acting, or even it be the gym or something like that, it is healing through energy, healing through putting yourself into tasks, into projects, and really working through that. And I do see with the King of Wands here, some of you are coming up to a major accomplishment in something that's been very tough, but something you've loved very much. And I feel with the Healer of Ages card as well, you're healing from the inside out, but it is your perspective that is key. It is the way that you view the world going forward. And that is shifting, especially in terms of career, because we do have the Saturn-Pluto conjunction coming up in Aquarius. But before that, there is this really tough aspect of the 29th degree of Capricorn, which for you is your public image. It's to do with your career. And there's a closure there. There's an ending. For a lot of Aries, that is leaving a particular job. That is leaving a particular career field. And that's moving into something new. Or leaving a particular phase that has been unsatisfactory. And moving into the next era. Moving into the next way of being, the way of relating to the world. Because that is changing. So with your energy, there is a little bit of a pause. A little bit of a need for patience and balance. With the Love card, I feel that a lot of you can, with this energy, because of so much of the fire energy in the sky, really relate to people on a romantic level, on a personal level, provided you are working through a few things at the same time. Because I do feel like even in romance, your fears could overtake you a little bit because of Chiron's aspect to Venus, and it could make you see that certain perspectives you had were holding you back or need to be shifted in order to be more in alignment with what you want to come next. So that is what I have for you, Aries, and I will see you soon. Bye. Hi Taurus, welcome to your new moon in Sagittarius total solar eclipse reading. So Taurus, your eclipse energy is surrounding Sagittarius, your 8th house. Now the 8th house is a house that's quite feared, it's quite taboo. It is all things to do with sex, death, taxes. But because we have evolved as a society and we're a bit more forward thinking, it's not as taboo per se as it used to be. But certainly the themes of intimacy are quite profound. Your intimate relationships, but also your intimate relationship with the world and transformation. What I love about your cards is that we have the Phoenix. And the Phoenix is very much to do with that Scorpio-phonic energy of rebirth. Now, Scorpio rules the 8th house, but Scorpio also rules your partnership sector. For a lot of you, there is a brand new beginning. This is a new era in love. This is a new era when relationships are very different to how they've been before. This could be because if you're single, you suddenly move into a new era where you're dating people that are nothing like who you dated before. You're having romantic experiences that were nothing like you had before. You're merging with people, you're committing to people more, something like that. That is where your change is lying. Because of its connection to Mars in the 12th, I feel like for a lot of you, this is because of the deep psychological work you've done over the last few months. Now, as much as I'm aware that as a society, most countries, most societies have been in some form of lockdown, isolation, when there's a 12th house aspect to it, it feels lonelier. You know, it feels like really strong restrictions, really strong isolation, and a process of rethinking. So for a lot of you, you've had a period where you've really taken time on your own to rethink certain things about how you move forward in life. And because as well, there is a tricky aspect of this new moon to Neptune. And Neptune is in Pisces, which is to do with your manifestation. I feel like a lot of you feel like nothing's happening. I feel like a lot of you are waiting for progress in some area of your life that's not been happening. And a lot of it is actually linked to perspective because of Saturn. So Saturn and Jupiter are going to have their great conjunction in Aquarius on the 21st. But the days before that, we have the final degree of Capricorn energy, which is very intense. And it's some form of closure that for you is in your house of perspective. So you're having a really strong philosophical shift. And that energy is key to the next period, because from there we move into the 10th house. This great conjunction is your public image, it's your career. So for a lot of you, what I'm seeing is that Saturn is leaving you with a gift in the form of a perspective change or some advancement in career. Because what I'm seeing here with the Victory card, as well as the Devil and the Knight of Pentacles, is that the energies you have worked through with yourself that are somewhat unhealthy or based on bad habit, I feel like you're being rewarded for the slow, steady progress you have made, particularly with Saturn in Capricorn. So Saturn in Capricorn is actually very good for you in terms of its harmony to your earth sign element. However, we are moving into a period where you're going to be very focused in the next year, especially in advancing in your career. And one of the warnings with the Devil here is don't get too obsessed. It is good to be ambitious, it is good to feel powerful, but don't get too obsessed with that part because you don't want to lose sight of your intuition. And I feel with the Inner Wisdom card that you have intuitive knowings about how your career is going to change, how it's going to advance, and what you need to do. And I think it's coming from a place of leveling up. With the Phoenix card, it's about being reborn. And you also had the Oyster card as a symbol. So maybe some of you are literally eating oysters at Christmas. I don't know what this is, but the Oyster card is very much to do with opening up, being able to share what you have, because the oyster has in it that beautiful pearl that you can only see if the oyster opens. And in one way, Taurus, I think this new moon is beginning a phase where you're more open to intimate connections, to actually bonding deeply with another person, either in your current relationship or in a future relationship that is indicated here. With the Eight of Pentacles and the Lovers, I feel like a lot of you have been doing much work there. You know, much getting to grips with what parts of you do and don't work in a relationship, what you could do better, what you could choose better for yourself. And also a lot of you are realizing that in many cases, if you've had a series of failed relationships or misunderstandings with a love interest, it's because you haven't been showing what's so wonderful about yourself, that there is a bit of a guard up, there is a bit of a hesitancy. And I do feel like with this conjunction coming up in your 10th house, a lot of people are going to want to see you shine. You know, the Victory card here, they're going to want to see you shine. I don't know why I can't talk for the Taurus reading. They're going to want to see you shine. There we go. They're going to want to see this beautiful pearl energy with the oyster, because you have a lot of talents to showcase in the next year, Taurus. And it all starts with this eclipse, but this eclipse is so much to do with how you've healed emotionally and intimately as well. And because we have Chiron, the wounded healer, also in your 12th house, your healing has been very intense, especially if you're an April born Taurus. It's been very intense, and I think a lot of you with the Devil card and the Knight of Pentacles are finally making progress in terms of battling some inner demons. And I think with the Victory card, you should be really very proud of yourself. But if you are interested in love or romance or deepening connections, when I see the 8th house, I often think of attracting in relationships that are either based solely on physical attraction or wanting something very significant where there is a lot of opening up required as a person. And with the Oyster card, if that is the type of energy you seek, you need to make sure that you're showing your true authentic self, because I get the impression a lot of Taurus, because of fear, I'm almost getting this like clamming up feeling, because of fear that is based in the 8th house, fear of intimacy, fear of connection, fear of abandonment. A lot of that fear has stopped you actually being yourself around love interests, and they were not rejecting you, they were rejecting your guard. So that is something. But you are having a lot of inner wisdom here with the Athena card, especially leading up to the full moon in Cancer, which is going to be a time where you can really speak your truth and really make some headway as a person, because that's going to connect to Uranus in your sign. So that's an exciting one to look forward to as well, Taurus. But that is all I have for you. Have a beautiful December, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Gemini, welcome to your solar eclipse in Sagittarius new moon reading. So Gemini, this eclipse is occurring in your opposite sign of Sagittarius, and it is a follow-up from the partial lunar eclipse in your sign. The energies of the 7th house are very clear. They're to do with partnerships, they're to do with relationships, be it in love or business. And this eclipse is in positive alignment with Mars in Aries, which is to do with your 11th house of manifestations. A lot of which have run into a bit of trouble thanks to Mars being in retrograde and being in an extended stay. In many ways, it can mean that you put more energy into your dreams manifesting into reality, and you're really looking to the future. But it can also, because of the retrograde, have slowed you down significantly in terms of getting things off the ground. Now, there's many things happening this month that I have to include in this eclipse, so bear with me. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is occurring in Aquarius, and that is so much to do with your ideology, with your philosophy, with your view of the world, with your optimism, with your perspectives. But not long before that, we have the last couple of degrees of Capricorn. The Saturn-Jupiter conjunction there in the 29th degree is an ending. It is a big ending. It is a big, ending of the way things have been in your most intimate relationships, in the way you've dealt with intimacy, with grief, with money, with shared resources, all these 8th house energies. You're finally coming out of that. I don't feel that it was an easy year for Geminis. I really don't. And I feel like a lot of you have done wonderfully, and you're wonderful adapters at going through this, but many of you have realized a few things in the way that you do intimacy, but also the way that you do fear. And I feel with the walking away card, the 4 of Swords and the 2 of Swords, a lot of your blockages or confusion at the moment is coming from needing to retreat or rest a little bit more. A lot of you Geminis, I think, that watch these are probably people who are actually very psychic, very intuitive. With the Lizard card, it's a card that's associated with the sixth sense. It's having an alternative gift that is very easily drained by spending prolonged periods of time with people. And it's also drained by feelings of fear, feelings of upset, feelings of uncertainty, I suppose, because a lot of the uncertainty comes from not listening to your intuition. So I think for a lot of you, the beautiful thing about this energy is that you are taking a moment with the eclipse. Because of your eclipse, you've taken a moment to slow down. For many of you, that's manifested as incredible anxiety, physical symptoms, sleeplessness, all kinds of stuff that was processing this these feelings in your body that just you couldn't bring forward into the next era, is what I'm saying. So this is a beautiful new start for you in relationships. And what I'm seeing with the walking away card is that you're walking away from the old way of having relationships, doing relationships, being in relationships, what you give of yourself. And that if you're completely single or if you're in a relationship, either way, there are beautiful new beginnings in the horizon. We had the Three of Wands twice. And it's very much like that Christmas song, I saw three ships come sailing in. I feel like is maybe a little sign for you around the Christmas period. If it comes on the radio somewhere that you are, I feel like it's a little nod from the universe to let you know that good things are on the way. Because with the Three of Wands, he doesn't even have to do anything. He's on the shore. He's where he needs to be. And the ships are coming to him. He knows that no matter how long it takes, they're coming in. And I think for a lot of you, you've had a psychic, intuitive knowing that, yeah, something's coming in for me. No matter how bad things have seemed in love or work or anything like that, or getting your manifestations off the ground, most Geminis have had a feeling that, yeah, there's something on the horizon that I can't see yet. And that's the shift from Capricorn into Aquarius. There's something on the horizon that's yet to be seen or yet to be known. And I think for a lot of you, it is a very beautiful relationship. Ace of Cups, Ten of Pentacles. A new start in love because of that seventh house aspect. Because it's the seventh house, it's a total solar eclipse. It's a blessed new beginning. So either in a current relationship, going to the next phase, getting married, having a child, whatever this is, or ushering in that person. Or maybe even for some of you, if it's business that you love the most, this is business satisfaction. Feeling like a lot of emotions have been cleared and a lot of emotions are starting to feel so much better. I do feel with the unconditional love card that you are in the process of healing or deepening a connection with somebody. And I have to say it, because of the Four of Swords, I feel like it's kind of linked to someone having to physically rest more, maybe from feeling unwell or something. But the downtime, that could be you with the eclipses, the downtime has made you realize how much you appreciate love in your life, or how much you want that kind of unconditional love. And I feel like if that's what you're trying to manifest with this eclipse, that is 100% what you're going to get. Okay, so that's really beautiful energy for you, Gemini. Do remember to rest, because eclipses, especially one that's completely opposite you in the sky, they can feel very draining. And as much as you want to manifest and dream, which I think you're better doing, I feel like this is quite passive. It's very much about just dreaming things into reality, not having to do very much, but also resting at the same time. It is important to rest and take a bit of a pause. When you start to feel with that Two of Swords that you don't see a future, you don't see hope in something, it's because you're tired. Very likely it is because you're tired and you need to be resting more, because there are beautiful things in the horizon for you, Gemini. So that's all I have for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Cancer, welcome to your new moon in Sagittarius total solar eclipse segment. So Cancer, this eclipse is aspecting your 6th house as well as making positive alignment to your 10th. So a lot of the energies surrounding this eclipse are to do with your career advancement. And I think for many of you, one of the things that I'm seeing from this is that there is either really good news coming up in terms of your career, or in terms of your study, or in terms of a project that is going to make you see just how much you're actually capable of. So what I'm getting with this, the Messenger of Earth and the Eight of Earth, is something that you have been working on for quite a long time, trying to maintain, trying to develop, trying to prolong, or trying to get off the ground. There is good news coming with that endeavor that is going to show you just how much you're worth and just how much you can actually achieve. And I really love that energy, because it feels for a lot of Cancerians that because of Mars being in Aries and being in retrograde, it may have slowed down your progress quite significantly as far as career matters and public image matters go. Things that you achieved or tried to achieve during that time may have felt like they fell a bit flat, but now is a time when you start to see a bit of reward in terms of those areas. Now, the eclipse itself is in your 6th house of health. It's in your 6th house of work, habits. So this is a beautiful new time to start a fitness regime, a new diet, something that really improves your health, because with the Chariot card here and the Aphrodite card, I feel that a lot of you are really driven to achieve things in terms of health, in terms of beauty, and in terms of self-appreciation. There seems to be a well-deserved confidence boost occurring for you, Cancer, especially in the lead up to your full moon, because the last eclipse was in your 12th house and that was very emotional for you. And I feel that a lot of you are now rebuilding and starting to see your worth and starting to see how much you actually can contribute and how much you can work through the tough times and make things happen or get things going again after a period of stalling. With the King of Wands and the Queen of Cups, for a lot of you, if you're in a relationship with a fire sign, this could be moving ahead quite quickly in December. Or you could be buying a car, you could be taking a trip of some kind if you can, maybe buy a car. A lot of you could be going by a road trip. But I am seeing that for a lot of you, that King of Wands is also indicative of you feeling really powerful, you feeling really driven, you feeling like you have career ambitions, career success that you want to achieve. And all of that is very much to do with a few, working through a few core wounds, because we also have a very healing trine between Chiron, the wounded healer, in your 10th house of career, and Sagittarius energy, Venus being in Sagittarius, the sector of love and money in your work sector. So for a lot of you, there's a bit of healing in terms of how you feel surrounding your place in the work sector or what you can and can't achieve. So if you have been dealing with imposter syndrome or feeling like you weren't good enough, this energy is all shifting so that you can see that that was just a wound that needed to be healed. That was just a pain body coming from something else. It's not true. It doesn't make it true. Just because it feels real when you're in it doesn't make it any more real. It is just a matter of mastering those emotions of fear of imposter syndrome, fear of not being good enough. And I think for a lot of you around this eclipse, you probably do get some kind of news that reaffirms that you can do this, or that this is going to be okay, or that you can work with this. I feel around the 14th for a lot of you, there is quite a busy period actually coming up in work. So if you are self-employed or employed, that feels quite busy for me. But if you're not employed, with the Messenger of Earth and the Eight of Pentacles, I feel like a lot of you could be becoming part of a scheme or part of a career with slow but steady advancement is one way that I'm seeing this. I also feel with the Aphrodite card that a lot of these energies are dependent on how you feel about yourself. They really are. So this eclipse is a beautiful time to manifest through a place of self-confidence. It is all about courage and it's all about conviction. And an eclipse is a beautiful new beginning. This energy is also kind of tricky in aspect to Neptune. Neptune is in your 9th house, which is to do with philosophy and higher thought, which is actually the house that rules Sagittarius. So without getting too deeply into that, what it means is that your perspective may be a bit off. And by off, I mean, I feel you're selling yourself a bit short, or you haven't had the belief in yourself. But I think this eclipse is a time when you will really show yourself what you're made of. I also feel with the dragonfly energy as your spirit animal, you will see manifestations of dragonflies in symbols. I don't imagine they'd really be out this time of year, but in symbolism, the dragonfly, it's the transition from being in this emotional water to having the higher perspective, taking to the air to see things for how they really are. Things look very different in the water to in the air, and I do think that perspective shift is a big key for you to having more career success, having more health and fitness success. And it's a beautiful, beautiful time to look after your body and appreciate the divinity of it and how sacred it actually is, So that is all I have for you, Cancer. Have a wonderful December and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Leo, welcome to your total eclipse in Sagittarius new moon special. So Leo, this is occurring in your 5th house, which is of course to do with your house, the 5th house of love, creativity, pleasure. And so this is in fact a total eclipse of the heart. to put it politely. It's actually a really beautiful eclipse, all jokes aside. It is really lovely. It's in harmony with Mars. And Mars is in fellow fire sign Aries. The eclipse is in fellow fire sign Sagittarius. So for a lot of you Leos, you are the missing component. You are the third piece of this three-part fire sign puzzle. And the Mars in Aries energy is occurring in a sector of the sky that relates quite a lot to Sagittarius because it is the sector of philosophy, the ninth house, higher perspectives, the way we view things, our opinions. And on one hand, the ninth house, because Mars has been there, it's in many cases Leo being that, especially Leo rising, you may have found yourself in the midst of heated political discussions, heated philosophical discussions, those kind of energies. And this is a really beautiful new beginning in the way that you show love, I suppose, the way that you show love to anybody. You know, the fifth house is a lot to do with love and compassion in general. Because you have a very big heart. And I can see with the Devil and the Five of Wands, there has actually been a lot of very heated or toxic arguments in your life. And many of you are finding that with Jupiter switching into Aquarius, you really want to leave those behind. And you really want to maximize the relationships in your life that are built on a place of shared understanding and harmony. But it's important to remember with Mars there that it is causing heated discussions. It is causing a lot of friction in the way that you view the world, in politics, in philosophy and religion, or law examples. So for you, it's really important to remember that Mars has been putting a lot of pressure there, and it doesn't mean that you have to ostracize yourself from anybody. It is okay to disagree. With the Wheel of Fortune, I really feel like things are starting to shift with Jupiter for you. So Jupiter moving into Aquarius is going to be incredibly interesting energy. But before we get to that great conjunction in Jupiter and Saturn, we have the eclipse, and we also have Chiron, the wounded healer, trining Venus. And Venus is in your sector of true love. So for a lot of you, one thing that I can see with this, with the Fool card, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Angel of Love, is that you are experiencing a blessed new beginning in all things to do with the heart, all things to do with love, all things to do with creativity, all things to do with pleasure. There's a beautiful new beginning. So whether for you, Leo, that translates as romantic relationships or creative endeavors or creative hobbies, it is a beautiful new time to start a creative hobby. Whatever way that translates, for some of you that could actually be marriage, but that's more to do with Jupiter and Saturn. I'll get to that in a second. Whatever way that you love, Leo, it is being transformed, and it's being transformed in quite a beautiful way, actually. The way that I see this eclipse is that I think very much when the ninth house and the fifth house are in discussion, it is from a place of love and truth. It is seeing the truth in the matter, seeing the truth in how we feel, seeing the truth in what we want, and the truth in how we feel comfortable being playful, being creative, having pleasure in our lives. And sometimes people encounter along the way blocks to that. So if you've had any blocks, and for a lot of you that could be the Devil and the Five of Wands, it could have been that you were brought up in an environment where you were made to feel sinful or made to feel like certain things were good or bad. You know, the fifth house, when I think of the fifth house and I think of fifth house, I think of pleasure in general, and how there is this inbuilt system within us now that we see things as good or bad, black or white, and how much that is just ridiculous, really. You know, when we think of food, for example, foods, you know, a cake isn't bad. It's actually a very great thing. It tastes delicious, but it's to do with how much of it you have, or how much you have of it in lieu of something else that's a lot healthier in terms of nutrients and things like that. It's not a good or bad dynamic. You know, people know that eating too many bananas can kill you, yet bananas are healthy. So it's understanding that having fun, having joy doesn't make you lazy, it doesn't make you sinful, it shouldn't make you feel bad, is what I'm trying to say. And this is a beautiful new moon to begin a relationship with pleasure that is healthy. And that's not to say, because the Devil card is here, that's not to say that you should take things to an excess. That's not what I'm saying at all. Especially with the contract card here, and we see the scales, it is all about finding balance. But I do think, Leo, a lot of you could do with a bit more love and a bit more fun in your life. I also think because of this great conjunction occurring in your opposite sign to do with relationships. I think a lot of you have had a tough battle with karmic relationships, relationships that were very unhealthy. And this is all a reset to be in more healthy dynamics in general. And that's not necessarily to say you're going to leave one relationship and enter another. What it means is that you're entering out of a phase and into a phase that's much more healthy, but entering out of a phase built on bad habit. Okay? Because Saturn and Jupiter have both been in Capricorn this year, and Capricorn is to do with your sector of habits. And because they will be together in the 29th degree, it is a really strong ending of some kind of habit in your life that is no longer serving you. And some kind of reward for doing the work there. Because with the unicorn and the transformation card, I think there's a blessing coming to many Leos that they would not believe in necessarily, they wouldn't expect. With the unicorn, it is having faith in something we can't see, because nobody knows for sure if a unicorn is real or not, because we haven't seen it. And it's when we question things because we can't see them per se. And I think for a lot of you, you haven't been able to see just how much you've actually transformed. But a lot of you have transformed really very deeply, especially in terms of your relationships. And with the Queen of Cups and the Fool, you are beginning a new journey where you're more in touch with your emotions, where you're more in touch with your heart. For a lot of you, this is a new love relationship with a water sign, or a new saga with a water sign, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Potentially marriage with the contract and the angel of love card. Some of you are getting engaged. The conjunction in Aquarius is going to put a lot of focus and a lot of importance for you in your romantic relationships, particularly marriage and particularly committed relationships. It's going to put a big signal of importance there. So if you're single, that really looks like, bracing yourself for real committed relationships and being prepared to let go of a few habits that need to be let go of in order to enter that terrain or to find harmony in relationships. But again, because of Mars, just bear in mind that you can have a relationship with somebody that you don't have the same ideology as, and it can work. You don't have to be from the same background. You don't have to be the same religion. And a lot of people still do think you have to, but we're entering into the age of Aquarius where that sort of stuff isn't what connects us. So, that is all I have for you, Leo, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi, Virgo. Welcome to your new moon in Sagittarius total solar eclipse reading. Virgo, this is occurring in your 4th house, which is very much to do with the home, the family, and the past as it shapes you. It is in beautiful alignment with Mars in Aries, which is your 8th house of your more primal, intense emotions. It is a little bit in conflict with Neptune, albeit the energy is less potent, Neptune being in your 7th house of relationships. There are also many events occurring astrologically after the fact. There is a Chiron Venus trine in the days that follow, in the fire signs, again in Aries and in Sagittarius, your 8th and 4th houses respectively. And so for you, Virgo, there is a new beginning in the way you look at the past. So you're probably wondering, how does that make any sense? Well, your thoughts likely are gravitating to the way things used to be, or the way you were raised, or the things that have shaped you as a person. For a lot of you, that is to do with the way you were raised to work with career, money, finances, but also religion. The way that you were primed, I guess, to think as a youngster. And I think a lot of you are putting much thought and importance into that area. Now, it's important to realize that this is a new beginning, and that in order to progress with these series of eclipses that are occurring for you retrospectively in your 4th and 10th houses over the next couple of years, the energy really is focusing on what you want to build for yourself in the future, as opposed to what you already have stabilized for yourself. I think for a lot of you, there has been, because of Saturn being in Capricorn, there has been a lot of restriction on joy. There's been a lot of restriction on feeling loved, being able to immerse yourself in pleasurable experiences, things that you like. For a lot of you, this could translate as feeling all work and no play. For a lot of you, this could translate as feeling lonely. And I think you will be very relieved to understand, Virgo, that Saturn and Jupiter, when they meet in the 29th degree of Capricorn, that is an ending of that phase for you. The way that I see this for Virgos, particularly Virgo rising, is that where Saturn has blocked your creativity or your passion, it hasn't blocked it intentionally. It has blocked it in a sense that you have to get to grips with your relationship of it. And if you've done the work and you've appreciated it, Saturn generally leaves you with some kind of gift. And I do think Saturn is leaving you with a gift. So I'll get to that in a second. But this eclipse, the thinking woman energy and compassion. Whatever thoughts are going on in your head, Virgo, are likely manifesting as evidence in your reality. And that's not to say that you're manifesting the very thing you're afraid of, but you can manifest evidence that feeds your brain to believe it is so. So if you're feeling very anxious and you're feeling very angry with yourself over past mistakes or past actions, this is kind of saying that if you're looking for compassion from other people to make you feel better, if you're feeling a lack of compassion to yourself, it's going to be so much harder to source. And I do feel like you have a lack of compassion with yourself in regards to potentially failures or conflict, or where you feel like you've not grown, because I can see the Five of Wands here suggesting that in terms of competition, you have felt in a defensive state. The cards are very much saying to keep going, because the eclipses are changing your sector of security, but also your sector of achievements and accomplishments. And when there's like an eclipse in the 4th or 10th house, as this is occurring in the 4th house, because I'm a Piscean ascendant, I have a little bit of, it's not as intense because it was partial, but I have a little bit of experience. You will feel that a lot of past fears come up that you have to release, okay? The Hanged Man and the Nine of Wands. Sagittarius season for everybody is about learning to see the past from a new perspective. Particularly for you, Sagittarius is your 4th house. It is a good idea for you to reflect on the past with more of an open mind. I think with the Hanged Man, that is Neptune's influence casting a bit of fog on the way that you see things. And it's important to remember that you are actually growing, even if you've not seen evidence of this. I can see that with the Sea Serpent and the Arts card, in particular if you're in a creative profession or you are looking to create something in general for yourself in this life, because everything is creation. It's such a broad term. I do feel with the Empress that Venus moves into Sagittarius the next day, which adds this beautiful energy of being able to make a beautiful space for yourself, harmonize with family, harmonize with the past, and really heal from that and create something beautiful in the future. I see with Saturn and Jupiter exiting Capricorn that you're being blessed with some kind of creative passion or gift, or maybe even a romantic relationship because it's the 5th house, or maybe even a child with the Empress. Maybe some of you are being blessed with a pregnancy or the birth of a new relationship or the birth of a new way of feeling about yourself, and particularly even your mother. So for you, Virgo, a lot of these energies are about being very compassionate with yourself, allowing yourself a bit of time to rethink the way things used to be. I think with eclipses, you can often feel quite nostalgic. But this is a total solar eclipse, and it is more to do with moving into the next phase. And the next phase for you, Virgo, is very much going to be about forming better habits, forming healthier routines in your life, healthier relationships, healthier dynamics in general. And it's going to come in place of thinking the past was better, or thinking that you're stuck because of how you were raised. A lot of these things in the past with the 4th house, they do shape you, and they shape your 10th house to come, your accomplishments, the things you want for yourself. And oftentimes, if you can get to the root of why you want certain things, you can understand that maybe either you don't want them anymore, or maybe you can see a better way to achieve them that's not based on a place of trauma. So Virgo, there are beautiful turnarounds for you in terms of your emotional security, okay? That's what I'm trying to get at. You're having a new start in the way that you feel secure. And I feel with the Empress, a lot of it is starting by being creative and the process of creation as it is. So get into your habits, especially in your hobbies, in the things that you love, and do things you love to do. Eat foods you love to eat. Don't restrict yourself so much. Saturn's put a lot of emphasis for you on restricting fun. And as it is exiting Capricorn, you're going to have a bit of an awakening, an awareness of how much you actually have restricted yourself in some regard and how much fun is actually yet to come. You know, I can see really beautiful energies developing for you, but you just have to keep going. The energies of December can feel quite heavy for you at points, but don't fight with yourself. And try not to fight with other people too, because I think you need a support system. And with the Empress card, you know, Venus moving into Sagittarius, it's that much easier to feel happy at home, secure at home, or nurture connections that go way back. So that is what I have for you, Virgo, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Libra, welcome to your new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius reading. So Libra, the Sagittarius energy for you is a lot to do with how you communicate. It's a lot to do with siblings, neighbors, those in our immediate environment, and it's a lot to do with facts as well. This solar eclipse is very positive. It is a new beginning. It is a new point of awakening and manifestation for most of the world. December in 2020 in general is a great awakening. It's the beginning of it, at least. It's the beginning of the new phase. So for you, because of the harmonious alignment with Mars in Aries being your relationships, and as well as that, the next day, Chiron, the wounded healer, in your sector of relationships is actually harmonizing with Venus in your sector of communication. I think a lot of you are going to start vocalizing a few feelings. One point of confiding, I think, for a lot of you comes into play with a sibling. Some kind of communication with a sibling, an opening of conversation, an opening of dialogue, or a neighbor or a friend, someone that feels like a sibling, being able to express some feelings going on with you, because I feel that with Chiron being there and it making communication with the other fire energy, I do feel for a lot of you that talking things through is very healthy. And I'm thinking that a lot of you maybe haven't done that lately, and that could be in part due to the astrology. But with the shark card, the shark being one of your symbols this month, it is only dangerous when we pretend it's not there. So your cards, Libra, were very indicative of a process of healing. And it's true to form because of Mars the last few months. But the way that I see this with the walking away, the broken heart, and the attachment card is that you're finally leaving behind a wound of love or an attachment style issue, or you're finally finding a way to heal an attachment style. So of course most of us are aware now, because it came really into focus in the last couple of years, that many of us fall into about 3 or 4 different attachment styles. Some people are anxious attached, some people are secure, and some people are anxious avoidant. And I think a lot of you have discovered, because of the extended stay with Mars ruling your relationships and being in your relationship sector, but also in retrograde, and then so much friction with your 4th house of the past, I think a lot of you have realized this year what your attachment style is. And this goes for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. All of you have probably had some level of awareness come into play. And I think with this eclipse, it's a new start away from that energy. It's a nod to the healing you've done. It's a nod to the work you've done. It's a nod to the awareness that you have found, hopefully within that energy, within that understanding, and it's ready for a new chapter. So one of the things that I'm seeing here with the Chariot, the Ace of Wands, and the Ten of Cups is that in terms of love and happiness in general, you're ready to go after it. You're ready for a new start. You're ready to ask for what you want, to say what you want, to just go after it in general, especially career, because we are, with the Chariot card, we are leading up to a full moon in Cancer in your career sector, and I'll get to that in that video. But because I'm conscious of the fact that this is the new moon leading to the full moon, I'm just bringing it up in passing. With the Ace of Fire and the Ten of Cups, I mean, look how happy he is. Look at his face. Can you see that? No? Come on. Ah, there he is. Isn't he so happy? It's so cute. The Ten of Cups is about emotional satisfaction, completion, feeling of fulfillment, that kind of thing. And with the Ace of Wands, it to me suggests you're headed down that path. You're going after something you really want. And I feel that the solar eclipse, because it's in your 3rd house, is A lot of conversations, a lot of communication you could be hearing from a lot of different people is one thing that I think came up in your December horoscope, especially with the Chariot, a lot of people wanting your attention. But I am feeling like through giving yourself more unconditional love and understanding, you're starting to blossom, you're starting to come into your own, especially as relationships go, but also your communication style, because, you know, bear in mind this eclipse is in your third house. So for me, I always find that an eclipse in the third house, especially if it's a new moon and it's solar eclipse, it can be a new communication with somebody. So this could be somebody new coming into your life that you're going to have a lot of interesting and important conversations with. That can be in work, business, family, love, whatever. A lot of interesting conversations with. And I feel like with the Elephant card as well, there is a blessing in disguise element to something that went really wrong in your life or didn't work out the way that you planned. Something that makes sense only in hindsight. And I think for a lot of you it's a broken heart. So I think it could be feeling very pleased that someone you thought was amazing, you didn't end up with them after all. Maybe you hear something about them, or maybe you didn't get a job and you hear something, maybe the company goes bust and you think, thank God I didn't get that. There's a blessing in disguise element that comes in as news around this time that makes you think, oh, I get why this had to happen. And it gives you a bit more faith in the world. Now, there is a tricky aspect to this new moon. It's not as strong as Mars, but it is Neptune, and that is casting a bit of a fog over your work life in general, or your health or your habits. Maybe some of you have been a bit unwell lately and you're not quite through the woods yet. You still feel a bit icky. And this new moon is a time for you to consider where some aspect of feeling unwell is maybe an energy blockage. You know, I'm not saying not to go to a physician or a doctor. I'm not negating any of that. None of this happens in place of that. But what I'm saying is that if you have tried everything and you're still feeling a little bit like you have a sore throat or a cough, that can be a throat chakra imbalance. That can be you needing to speak about things more, or communicate your truth, or maybe express yourself a bit better. You know, I often find with people who do things like this, you know, tarot and stuff, because you can be met with such opposition. Sometimes you stop talking about it and then bang, you get a throat chakra imbalance and a blockage, and suddenly you don't feel like you can communicate as well. It happens all the time. Definitely happens to me. So bear that in mind, Libra, is that you might need to have a little look and see where there's an imbalance, or if it's chest pain, it's a heart chakra thing, for example. So again, not in place of anything medical, but it's just that Neptune is putting a bit of a fog over your habits in general, and you might not feel as motivated and you might feel a bit lethargic. But have faith and have trust in yourself that this eclipse is ushering in a new way of living. And as well, because the 29-degree conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn just before the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, the 29th degree of Capricorn is adding a lot of closure to you for the past. So if some old wounds come up surrounding a parent, surrounding your childhood, surrounding a love that you lost, if a lot of that pain comes up, do talk about it, okay? The age of Aquarius for you, this conjunction is happening in your 5th house of love and romance, so it's going to be a big theme for you in the next year anyway. So it looks pretty nice so far. I will see you in the next set of readings, Libra. Have a wonderful December. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your new moon in Sagittarius total solar eclipse reading. I feel like such a traitor leaving you to the last Scorpio fam, but okay, we'll start in anyway. This is a really beautiful eclipse. Now, I want to start off with your spirit animal for this eclipse. It is actually the eagle. Beautiful. I really love the eagle's energy. It is the ability to see things from a higher perspective, and I've harked on a lot about that as a theme of this new moon in general, because it is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the archer who shoots the arrows off into the air and then goes after what they want. And Sagittarius is more so to do with the perspective from the arrows, from seeing things from a new height. For you, this new moon eclipse is in your sector of security, of material things, of money. And while that's an incredibly beneficial thing in terms of starting a new job, in terms of making more money, getting a bigger salary, getting a better job in general, especially because it's aspecting Mars, your traditional ruler, in the 6th house of work and day-to-day work, but also your health, this is a really beautiful time to assess what makes you feel secure. We have a lot of very interesting cards coming up for you, but the astrology does say first and foremost that this is a wonderful new moon to start a financial adventure, come into some money, start a new job, get offered a job, something that just helps you level up in terms of the material world. So one of the things that came up for you is the Three of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, Two of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. So you have recently in 2020 been grappling back and forth with a few ideas in terms of work, what you'd like to do, what you would like to achieve. And I think there's been a level of indecision because of Mars going retrograde, either a lack of motivation, a lack of clarity. And now I feel with the Knight of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups that this is your new beginning that you've been looking for, based on clarity, based on understanding. And I feel with the Messenger of Fire, which I believe is the Knight of Wands, and the Chariot, you are going forward fearlessly. You're going forward with a sense of adventure, you're going forward with a sense of purpose, and you will know what you want quite shortly after this eclipse, if not bang on the eclipse, and you'll be able to go after it. But I feel like it's had a lot of thought, Scorpio, what you're going after next, because with the Hierophant card, I feel like a lot of you are very focused on commitments. Commitments as well in matters of the heart with the fourth chakra card, commitments in terms of relationships, but also commitments in terms of committing to something new in work. And I feel for you that it is seeing things from a different perspective, particularly work relationships, which I imagine for Scorpio in 2020 were really quite challenging if you don't work alone. If you worked alone, the challenge was probably more to do with feeling run down, feeling tired. If you've worked with other people, I think there's been a lot of tension. And you're seeing things from a different perspective now. Either you're going to leave these people behind and start something new, or you're going to find a new way to get along with them. I have to say, Scorpio, I think it's probably the former. I think it's more to do with leaving unhealthy dynamics in work behind. Because with the Purification card, you're really detoxing some stuff out of your space. And I think a lot of you, it's to do with the heart chakra, the fourth chakra. And one of the ways that you can heal the fourth chakra is, of course, by love, by being open, by being expressive, by saying how you feel. But we talked about that a lot in the new moon, full moon in Gemini partial eclipse reading, which you can go watch because that energy goes into December as well. And that's more to do with the heart and things. But for you with this Purification fourth chakra, a lot of you are maybe realizing with this eclipse that your spending habits are based in insecurity or fear. So maybe some of you are always buying the latest thing and not getting any satisfaction from it. And that's something you're healing. I think a lot of you are clearing out your wardrobe. Venus has been in your sign and will be in your sign until the 15th. So that is a wonderful time to clear out your wardrobe and have some new styles, but have a new relationship with money and a new relationship with clothes. But after the 15th, when Venus moves into your sector of money and security, relationships will become more secure, or you will at least reevaluate, do they make you feel secure or not? And with the Door to Spirit and the Eagle, you're really seeing things from a much more elevated perspective. You're not the Scorpio that you were this time last year. You're seeing things from a higher point. And you're learning not to spend your way out of problems. You're learning not to spend your way out of emotional deficits, okay? And I do feel like if you're dealing with a fire sign in particular, there is movement forward there. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, there seems to be a movement forward. I don't know why this keeps coming up for you, Scorpio, because this came up in your December reading, but there's something to do with cars. I'm actually not sure what bracket cars fall into, but I imagine it's probably to do with the third house, short journeys. So you may be taking a short journey around the eclipse, or you may be, as I say, getting a new car, or there's just something to do with cars and Scorpio, and I just don't know what it is, but it just keeps coming up for your cards, and I find it kind of funny. But anyway, with the Eagle card, you are seeing things from a much higher perspective, and you're just feeling more joyous. You're more aware of what matters, first and foremost. Knight of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. You're more aware of what matters, and I think for a lot of you as well, you're moving away from flighty energies, and what you want, particularly based on the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, what you want is actually something solid, you know, a place to call home, a person to call home, a family to call home. And with the 29th degree of Capricorn, the third house, I think, is cars. So this is maybe what this is. You're closing up a particular chapter in learning how to communicate, learning how to express yourself, and learning to get from A to B. So you have found a way to seamlessly move forward. The energy is shifting for you in terms of, you've learned a lesson in terms of communication. I think for a lot of Scorpios, the blessing that occurs for you, because Saturn and Jupiter actually leave you a gift when they're leaving a sign, and they'll both be leaving Capricorn. So for you, that's communication. You're going to be left with a gift of words you really want to hear, a message you really want to receive, possibly linked to a fire sign, possibly linked to a car, possibly linked to a fire sign or an earth sign, because we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands, but we also have Queen of Cups, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. A message that you want to hear, words you really want to hear, or something solid to call your own with the Hierophant card there. So that is what I have for you, Scorpio. I hope you have a wonderful December, and I'll see you soon. Bye.